I think some of the most Machiavellian characters in Game of Thrones are those who aren't born to the great families. A character like Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, who is the treasurer or master of coin, as we call it, of the realm when the books open. Although he's born to a noble house, it's a very weak noble house. His lands are a few acres and a kind of rundown tower house, and he has a lot of sheep and sheep pellets. That's his inheritance. But he has his mind, and he has subtlety, and he climbs and he maneuvers, and he has great skill with finances, which is something that a lot of the higher-born nobles consider beneath them, worrying about money and stuff like that. So he's able to accumulate more and more money and more power and befriending everyone. He's everybody's friend. He's always very helpful, and people find him very useful to their schemes. And as a result, he gets everybody's ear. He gets involved in all these plots. He's probably the most Machiavellian character in Game of Thrones. But book Littlefinger and television show Littlefinger are very different characters. They're probably the character that's most different from the book to the television show. There was a line in a recent episode of the show where he's not even present, but two people are talking about him, and someone says, "Well, no one trusts Littlefinger, and Littlefinger has no friends," and that's true of television show Littlefinger. But it's certainly not true of book Littlefinger. If book Littlefinger in the book, everybody trusts him. Everybody trusts him because he seems powerless, and he's very friendly, and he's very helpful. He helps Ned Stark when he comes to town. He helps Tyrion. He helps the Lannisters. He's always ready to help, to raise money. He helps Robert. Robert depends on him to finance all of his banquets and tournaments and his other follies, because Littlefinger can always raise money. So he's everybody's friend. But of course, there's the Machiavellian thing. He's, everybody trusts him, everybody depends on him. He's not a threat. He's just this helpful, funny guy who you can, call upon to do whatever you want and to raise money. And he ingratiates himself with people and rises higher and higher as a result. It's tough to be a ruler, whether in Machiavelli's time or today or in the Middle Ages or any time in between. And I wanted to reflect some of this realistic thing and to show people facing very difficult choices where it's not enough just to say, I will be good and wise and do the right thing. What is the right thing? That's the question.
But in fact, the right thing often, in the case of your characters in Game of Thrones, is vicious and appalling and murderous. Come.
In terms of removing your enemies, sometimes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because otherwise they may come back for vengeance. But not always. I mean, there's a level of complexity in Game of Thrones, too. I mean, I think you can argue, very convincingly, that Joffrey, the teenage boy king, in an effort to show how strong he was and how you defied him at your peril, executes Eddard Stark at the end of the first book. And this is a colossal mistake. The deal that was set up where Ned was going to plead guilty, take the black, go to the wall, would have removed him from the board as a political threat and yet not caused the entire North to rise in revolt, and would have been a much better solution. But Joffrey, being like 14 years old in the book, made a very childish decision. So the harshest decision is not always the wisest, but sometimes it is.